Glad to have you back. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for welcoming me back. Glad to be back here. And I'm also happy to be the first for everyone that just kind of wants to get this over and done with. But my question for you guys, how many of you guys are aspiring storytellers, filmmakers? You don't have to be shy. Okay, camera person over there, nice. You, okay, perfect. How many of you guys feel like the value of a story is a great way to persuade people to, help you accomplish something or communicate with other people and, just be able to just kind of, okay, great, awesome, I like it, perfect. And the reason why I ask that question is because stories kind of make up a lot of everything that we do, especially as we're trying to communicate to people. Like for the most part, like when you're trying to explain something, you're creating a story there. And that story, allows people to kind of figure out who's the subject person, what's going on, what's the action, what's the problem, or what's the solution. So some of that is going to be kind of integrated into kind of like my explanation of like my career and the different kinds of things that I've gone through, and hopefully some of that will kind of relate to you guys for the most part. But so my name is Sokian Jonathan Ook. I go by Jonny a lot in like the academic area, but a lot of people from my childhood know me as Sokian. When I started basically going to school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be, a computer person because I figure, if you're going to be working in network security, computer science, there's a lot of money there. I can kind of work in whatever city. And I come from Portland, Maine, so it's like the biggest city in Maine. It's on the coast, really nice place, and I really had a lot of good opportunities as well as the communities there in my undergrad and, like my neighborhood and everything. So I really had like a really awesome childhood, So I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of a background about myself, and we'll kind of go through like my different kind of phases of my life, the different kind of roles that I've had to get me to where I am now. So when I was an undergrad, I went to the University of Southern Maine because a lot of my friends were going to school. I'm like, you know what, let's do this. They didn't accept me for computer science, but they accepted me for media studies. And from there, I kind of really fell in love with it. Growing up, I was like an artist, but I wanted to be a scientist. I wanted to, maybe join the military. I wanted to do so many different things, but, life has a funny thing of kind of taking you on different journeys. And, at that point in my life, I was just kind of looking for some sort of direction. And being a creative and artist allowed me to kind of express myself in a way that I've never, had the opportunity to before. I've always been a good artist growing up, 5th grade, 3rd grade. My art teachers would be like, wow, Sokian, you're awesome. You should go to art school. And, for me to kind of talk to my, folks, being a first generation American, it was really hard to kind of make that happen, right? So, life gives you a lot of different kind of paths and options, and, the opportunities that are there or not. It's really up to you to kind of figure out, should you make the opportunity or you should go seeking for it. So let's kind of go to graduation. So, after I graduated undergrad, in Portland, Maine, there was really not a lot of opportunities to do media stuff. I didn't want to do news. I was really interested in documentaries. I really like film, but we didn't really have a film program. And living in Portland, Maine for at least a year after undergrad, I was kind of stuck. I was in a rut. I wanted to create films. I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to be on, PBS. I wanted to be in Hollywood. I wanted to do all these things, but living in a small town, on the coast of Portland, Maine, there was just no opportunity for that. So I decided, after a year of just trying to figure out myself after undergrad, I would go to grad school, and that brought me to Boston. It was my first time moving out of my small, hometown. First time I've really been, separated from my folks, my family, and just kind of put into an environment I've never been before to try to figure out myself. Right, so going to grad school, I chose BU. I went to BU for a year to get my Master's of Fine Arts in Cinema and Media Production, and I focused on cinematography. And the reason why is because I love cameras. I'm a tech person. I have some computer science background. I'm an artist. I'm like a DIY kind of person, and I figure, why choose to be a director or producer when those things, you don't need technology, right? You just need to have people skills, be able to kind of put productions together. So you don't really need technology. So I decided to become a cinematographer in that program so I can have access to the $50,000 cameras and lenses and really learn about the technicals so that once I graduate, I can apply those, as a director, as a producer, because I can talk the language. And in, the whole industry of like film, often a lot, like you have people that just can't communicate, right? Like for example, like maybe you're a producer, you don't know what an f2.8 means, you don't know what aperture means. So those kinds of like, not being able to communicate with each other can kind of create a lot of friction, takes up a lot of time, right? And it really kind of like involves a lot more of effort on everybody's part to kind of come together and make a film and that kind of thing. So going to grad school, I really learned a lot about myself, what I'm capable of doing, and the kinds of things that I'm interested in. But it gave me the technical skills. So compared to undergrad, I learned the basics, but I didn't have access to a lot of the kind of industry level equipment. But I went to grad school because one, I was stuck in a rut and I wanted to get out of my small town and kind of like, grow. Like I'm sure a lot of you guys kind of feel the same way, right? So I went to grad school for a year and then I learned film and I fell in love with it. And the reason why I fell in love with it is that it really kind of gave me the insight on narrative filmmaking, which, is storytelling, but it's a little bit different comparing like a feature film to a short film or a documentary, right? So it really kind of like gave me some insight onto how to become a better storyteller. So after, graduation, it was really tough, right? Like for everybody. This was 2019, so right before COVID. After I graduated, I was trying to do film stuff in the Boston area, right? Like, there's tax incentives, there's all sorts of, films coming in here. When I was a grad student, I got on the set of The Society. I don't know if you guys remember The Society on Netflix. It only lasted for one season. I was on Hubie Halloween to kind of visit the set, checked out that stuff. And that was pretty cool. I didn't get to meet Adam Sandler or anybody, but it was kind of cool to be on set and then just kind of like see how that stuff goes and, just be like a nerd, basically. Like I love the technology and the things that they did there. And then after that, it was really rough to kind of make a name for myself. One, like I haven't been in Boston, long enough. Two, student debt, right? We're all taking loans to go to school, that kind of stuff. Three, I don't have access to the tools that I had in grad school. But the things that I learned, the technical skills, allowed me to apply that to consumer, prosumer grade technology. So I could use my smartphone, I could use my DSLR, create films, that kind of stuff, right? And in Boston, we have so many film schools, so many film programs. It was really competitive. And for me, just to be able to survive, I decided, okay, let's try something else. And then that's where my opportunity to work at Northeastern started. I was hired to become the coordinator for their production studios. And this was right before COVID. And when COVID happened, we were all not working, obviously. We were kind of like remote. And how many of you guys are Star Wars fans or know about Star Wars? Yeah? Okay, great. You guys know about The Mandalorian, that show that came out? Do you guys know the technology they used to make that happen? No? Okay. So they use virtual production. And virtual production is kind of like a terminology for a variety of technologies that involve, XR, computers, game engine, so Unreal Engine is one of them, to kind of create these virtual sets. So imagine instead of using a green screen, you have these giant LED monitors that's creating like a cave, right? Like a semicircle cave. And you're putting your actors and you're building a set there. In the background, in real time, you can change that to whatever you want. So directors, production designers, everybody can kind of come together to kind of change the set on the fly. And that was really innovative. So, Jon Favreau basically, throughout his career, created all these things that, went into The Mandalorian. And from there, it kind of sparked a lot of indie virtual production sets. And now you see a lot of newsrooms. You see like a lot of, film production studios are creating these virtual sets, virtual production, volume is what they're called. So during my time, during that, COVID, I was trying to reinvent myself, but also keep myself engaged. Because as an artist, I'm always looking for new tools, because everything is a tool for me to kind of, create the kind of works that I want to create. But I also wanted to be competitive against all of my peers there. There's so many people that want to make films. Like, what makes me different? Do I have the people skills? Am I likable? Is my work comparable to my peers, or is it better? Like, how can I make myself competitive? So really, like, leaning on these new technologies allowed me to learn a lot about the different tools that would allow me to create these works. And what's important for me, and I'll get to this a little bit later, is realizing that the amount of money you spend to do something versus the amount of money that you take to spend on technologies to make it faster is totally worth it. So like spending, like let's say you're working on creating a pizza, right? Well, maybe that's a bad one. Let's not do that. Who likes pizza? Okay, awesome. Wow, you guys are loving pizza, huh? Okay, great. Well, anyways, when it comes to technologies, the great part about it is that it's supposed to kind of help you create whatever you're looking to create a little bit faster, right? Automating and that kind of thing. So I was really looking for tools that would allow me to create sets, allow me to create proof of concepts faster than, how you would do it traditionally, like hiring a crew, going to, this Airbnb that you're renting and then filming the stuff. So I decided to really kind of get into virtual production, learn Unreal Engine. I'm not a programmer, I'm an artist, but I really leveraged these tools and technologies to allow me to create the art, to do it faster, to prototype and show it to people, in a way that allows them to have the time to, figure out like, what can we do with this, right? So a lot of the things that we do in filmmaking is collaborative. Like I can't make a film by myself. But what I can do is use these new tools, these technologies, to allow myself to work faster, to share with my peers in their respective departments to be able to do their jobs. Directors, producers, production designers, and that kind of thing. And I was lucky enough to have a manager in that position at Northeastern when I started there to allow me to kind of venture into virtual production. So we have a green room there. And he let me basically do my thing, and I basically made that space into like a indie virtual production set and had some success with some classes that wanted to use that with Unreal Engine. These are virtual environment design classes with a theater class, and they kind of collaborated with myself and my manager in our space to make it happen. And then, after that, it really became like a trial and error. How do I use these tools? How to become better with it? No one of my peers that I know of in the Boston area, at least at my level in my career of filmmaking, knows anything about this. So at that point, I already had to step up a little bit. There's a huge online community for virtual production, indie virtual production. So after that, a year or two later, I had the opportunity to basically manage a new XR lab at Northeastern. And this was really exciting for me because it's starting to blend, a lot of my interest with something new, but also allow me to kind of like get access and have a little bit more say on, maybe how do we introduce these to other students? Because for me, like the thing I value the most is the amount of cool new tools and techniques that we can share with you guys to prepare you guys for the future. Because like me, I was learning filmmaking, but at the time, virtual production, none of that stuff was really out there yet, so none of us was really prepared for it. So what I really like in my new position as the XR Immersive Media Lab Manager at Northeastern in the College of Art Media Design is being able to use my creative background, use my experience in life, take my enthusiasm and energy in this new field, and how do we introduce these to students, faculty, administrators, the school in general? How do we prepare you guys for the future where these technologies are being used in all sorts of different industries, from healthcare, like using virtual reality, headsets to learn how to do surgeries or do remote surgeries, that kind of thing. But also architecture, entertainment. There's just so much. There's just so much that you can use. Virtual production. XR headsets for. So some of the different kinds of things that I'm doing right now with all of this knowledge and all this experience is basically how do I create a workflow that would be easy for someone to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. So for example, this is just my website with some films that I did. Wish I Was There was a short film that I did after grad school. It was supposed to be 16 millimeter film. I don't know, does anybody know regular film? Yes, okay, great. So it's supposed to be a 16 millimeter film, but it was way too expensive. So I decided to just kind of film it on a newly released camera and kind of test some workflows with this. But what I want to show you guys, and maybe, oops, let's do that. I'll show you guys this. I'm just going to play this video here and just kind of talk about it. But in this video, you'll see a workflow, which is exactly the workflow that I'm working on, explained by this gentleman. So I'm just going to speak over him, but you're obviously welcome to kind of look at the visuals. So in this video, he's going through a lot of different technologies using photogrammetry. So photogrammetry is using like a DSLR or phone or some device to take many photos of an object, a person, or a room to kind of create a 3D version of it. So what I value, a lot as a cinematographer, as a storyteller, is photorealism. I don't want to create something that looks like, a cel-shaded game, or I don't want it to look like cartoonish or anything. I want it to create something photorealistic. And you can kind of see that here there's an example of using a metahuman. So a metahuman is a product from Unreal Engine to create a photorealistic human using a workflow that is really easy to understand and easy to do right inside Unreal Engine. And Unreal Engine is a game engine, if you guys don't know. A lot of companies use this to create video games, photorealistic. So it's a AAA title game engine used by a lot of different companies, right? And it's really powerful. So with Unreal Engine, you're seeing that in the hands of anyone really, that you can create AAA quality visuals for games, for VR, for interactive experiences, anything you'd like, really. And this is a really powerful tool for me. So in this workflow, you can see that he was using photogrammetry to scan people, creating photorealistic people and environments, and he's making a game or he's making a film or something like that. And this is kind of like exactly what I'm trying to do here. So you can see here he's using Polycam. Polycam is an app for your iPhone and Android. It's about $14 or $15 a month or $80 a year unlimited. You can also get academic discounts, and you can see that it will help you scan a room. So imagine you're able to take this to your childhood home, to your grandparents' place, or maybe you're on vacation in Hawaii or something, and you want to scan like a room, a house, an object. Maybe you're in Italy and you're like, I see this really cool seashell. I know if I take it home with me, I'll get arrested because you can't do that kind of stuff. Maybe I'll do a 3D scan. Or maybe you're like me, where you're like going out and having dinner and you're like, wow, this food is awesome. How many of you guys still take photos of your food and put it on Instagram? Okay. How many of you guys take 3D models of your food and put it on Polycam? No? Okay, that's me. But imagine, you can take like 3 models of your food and it looks photorealistic and there's no effort to it. You just spend 5 minutes to kind of scan and then it uploads to the cloud and it does its thing. And now you have a 3D model that you can use in your games, you can use in, WebXR, you can use it in whatever you want, right? So some of this workflow is some of the things that I'm working on. And it's kind of interesting to see that a lot of people now are using these same technologies that are widely available now, right? There's no obstacle to getting these other than maybe there's a small price tag. But to kind of experiment and see how you can create photorealistic environments. And you might be asking, okay, so Kian, Jonny, like, what's your goal here? What's your angle? Well, for me, we're overwhelmed with so much different media, right? Like films, 2D dimensional things, 360 videos, like that's all great, but I want to put someone in an immersive environment as if they're actually here. So using these different technologies and a VR headset, I could recreate my childhood home and have someone, put on a headset and see what it's like and have it photorealistic as if they were actually there. Or maybe I want to recreate a memory, a memory of like, me playing with my dog or me talking to my mom or something like that. Or, maybe I want to help someone recreate, really powerful memories from their, past or something. So what I'm trying to get at is empathy. We don't have a lot of that these days, especially because we're overwhelmed with so much media, news, and, things on our phones and that kind of stuff. Like, it's it's hard. Like empathy is something, it's something that you just can't turn on and off. It's something that you have to develop and learn. And I'm hoping using all these different tools to create XR experiences, photorealistic, I can use this to kind of maybe have people have some of that in these kinds of experiences. So this is something that I'm doing, and it's great that other people are doing the same thing, so that I can share this with others, or have like mementos of like my childhood that I can share with the future generation, or to really document something that's going to disappear. Like a lot of the things happening in the world right now, like monuments that are being destroyed, historical artifacts being lost. You can think of using some of these technologies to create 3D models of them and archiving them, digitally, or use it in architecture, or use it in medical fields, like 3D scan a person's face and then create a cast or whatever that's custom to them, or other things. And those are just some of the pros of the technology. Obviously, there's cons as well, but it's good to learn about the cons so that you can be prepared to counter that, but be aware of how you could use these technologies. So those are kind of like some of the things that I'm trying to do. And for me to be in my position as an XR Immersive Media Lab manager at Northeastern, I'm happy to say that a lot of these technologies I'm kind of slowly introducing to students and faculty so that they can kind of make available these for you guys to kind of like use. So hopefully, if you guys have not learned about any of these tools yet, it's something that might be beneficial for you. I'm kind of interested to see, like, background-wise, any volunteers, what's your goal once you graduate? Anybody? Do you have an idea? What's your idea right now? Yes?
I'm going to go to grad school.
Grad school. Is there a reason why you want to go to grad school?
I'm studying finance and I want to get my MBA.
Okay. Good. Anybody else? I know this is like a business school, so. Anybody else? Yes?
I want to have like a sports marketing business or company.
Okay, awesome. So what's your idea for your business?
I want to like have like athlete representatives and just like be able to branch out, and I'm not exactly sure the direction, but something like that.
And that's okay, because at least you have something to start off with. If you don't have anything to start off with, you can't even move forward, right? And obviously there's a lot of opportunities for you to accomplish that, and also opportunities for you to make yourself a little bit different. So let me kind of tie that into a little bit of the things that I've done. So XR is used a lot in sports. So imagine training athletes like NFL players, like throwing, like as a QB or anything. A lot of them are using XR to kind of train them virtually. And in other sports too, like the Olympics, there's been other athletes that have been using that for training as well. Obviously, there's the entertainment part. You could play golf, right? But imagine doing that repetitively will kind of train you to do that in real life when you can't do that or something, right? So a lot of these different technologies could be a way for you to make yourself competitive, but also innovate and make it more efficient for your clients and the industry in general. So that might be something interesting for you. For me, when I started as an undergrad, I didn't really know the direction. But over time, and that's what I'm trying to also say, is that over time you'll kind of understand what's available for you, and your vision will also grow. So I guess it's a little bit about that. I don't know if you want to, Mark, do you want to go to Q&A or?
Do you want to show us some of the things you've done?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. All right, for any of you guys that are interested in filmmaking or narrative filmmaking in general, I'll load up this project here. So this is Unreal Engine. It might take a moment to launch, but this project was something that I did about 4 years ago as a way of kind of storyboarding. How many of you guys are familiar with what a storyboard is? Okay, great. All right, awesome. So a storyboard is a way of allowing you to basically tell the story in a set, bunch of images, right? So I wanted to create this so that when I work with my DP, when I work with my producer, they have an idea of what I'm doing, but also for the entire crew. And this was during the winter. Obviously, I can't film anything during the winter. So during that time, I was really learning how to use Unreal Engine and using the different tools for that. But the great thing about Unreal Engine also is that it allows you to do photorealistic lighting. So imagine you don't have to rent out a studio to learn how to light. You can use Unreal Engine. And that's one of the things that I really like about it, is that it allows me to really experiment without having to physically be somewhere or having the equipment. So I'll show you guys some of that, and then I'm going back to the project of archiving my family background and childhood memories and that kind of thing. I'll show you guys a little bit of that as well.
How did you get the technology background that you needed to do the film work that you're doing if you weren't studying technology when you were in college?
Really, it's self-motivation. You really have to be motivated to do things. You can't really depend on someone to give you the things or the knowledge sometimes. You have to really be like a self-starter. And I think these days, it's really important to have that mentality as well, is that you don't wait for people. I work in Boston, but I live in Maine, and that is about a 6-hour commute round trip taking the train and the T. What I've learned doing this for about 2.5 years, 3 years now, is that time is very valuable to me. How I spend my time with people, how people spend my time, what I do with my time, time with myself, Those things are very valuable. So learning these tools would allow me to kind of, save some of that time, right? So knowing that, I really kind of really leaned in on this because I value other people's time as well. So this is a scene here. It's really dark, but the scene is supposed to be nighttime. This is supposed to be outside. This is for a pilot web series that I was developing called Within I that I shot here in Massachusetts. And so this is a camera angle. You can kind of see up here. It's a Sony 24mm. So using Unreal Engine, I'm able to input real-world camera information. So with the Sony camera, this is the Sony a7S II because that's the camera I had at the time. I was able to get the sensor data, the width and pixel count and all that kind of thing, and put into Unreal Engine, put it in as a 24mm, and I simulate it here in Unreal Engine. So you can see here, this is what a 24mm on a Sony a7S II looks like. Here's a 35mm angle that I was looking to do. So this allowed me to do pre-visualization or previs is what we just kind of call it. So from this, I can just take screenshots and show my team, hey, this is my storyboard. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? Oh, okay. So where is this really? Oh, yeah, this is at this real-world location, blah, blah, blah. So imagine going out there in the real world and just taking photos of the area and recreating an Unreal Engine, and then, using the tools there, create your storyboard without having to physically be there. I have one here on an 85mm. And from here at the bottom, this is just one scene. I have a couple of other scenes here. So here's the library. And one of the things that I learned about really experimenting and using this is you need a really powerful machine. Unreal Engine takes up a lot of resources. If you have a Mac, it's not really going to work. Even on this PC, which is about 6 years old, it's kind of struggling a little bit. And it might not look photorealistic, but with better hardware, you can make this photorealistic here. And okay, so this is another scene in a library. So here you can see I just kind of put some, random, 3D models of people here to kind of give space, right, so that I can communicate with my team. And, what I really liked about Unreal Engine is that, creating these storyboards, I could just recreate the whole movie in Unreal Engine and export it and give it to my team, be like, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. But obviously filmmaking is a collaborative thing, right? But as a director, you might have like a set vision that you want to do, or maybe even might have the time. So I will close this and I will show you guys one of the other projects that I'm doing. So how many of you guys have experience with VR before? I thought I saw like one hand. Okay, mostly gaming, or what have you done with it?
I've played games a couple times on it, like I know my computer headset, but recently we did something in cyber psychology where we did debates against an AI, like a sort of an avatar we did using VR.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so XR is a great opportunity to do research. Yeah, there's so many applications for it. How many of you guys have a Facebook account? Okay. How many of you guys know what Meta is trying to do with VR, XR? You guys ever see ads for those? No? Okay. All right. The only reason I ask is because with companies like Meta and Apple, now that they're getting into XR, they're really kind of pushing this technologies that will become mainstream. Right? Like now we all carry one of these around. Eventually, those headsets will be something that everyone will carry around. And in about 2 or 3 years, they'll become something like glasses. So this might be something that will replace these guys. And imagine like with those kinds of technologies, the things that you can kind of do for storytelling or just being able to communicate or being able to explore new spaces, new worlds, or even training, right? There's a lot of opportunities for training for that too.
Is there any way that this technology can negatively impact people's jobs or relationships?
Yes, that's a possibility, just like everything else. And there's a pro and con to everything. But if you were to take the word technology, what is your definition of what technology is?
Like the technology that you're using.
No, I'm just saying like just technology, just the word. What is technology to you?
I guess it's like anything that's unnatural, like kind of like computers or phones or anything that's like advancements.
Yeah, you're onto something. So if you were to look up what technology means, it's basically applying knowledge to create like, a workflow to accomplish something, right? Like technology to create a can, technology to create a water bottle, technology to, make movies, right? These are things that are developed applying knowledge to accomplish something that you can duplicate. So, these technologies, just like everything else, there's pros and cons to it. Just like photogrammetry. Like, what if someone takes a 3D scan of me and creates a monster or something? Or what if someone, takes creates a technology to create a water bottle, and now it's all over the Amazon rivers, right? There's pros and cons to technology. And I think like if you're able to understand the cons as well as the pros, you're a more informed person on how you can apply, use a technology, or advance the technology, right? Like clean energy compared to oil and gas and that kind of thing. So here is a photo scan version of myself here. I also have a 3D scanned Okay. So this is a 3D scan version of myself. It may not be completely accurate, but it's a start. And this is like a part of the experimenting process of using these technologies. And this room was something that I scanned during the 5 to 10 minutes that I had in between a music video I was working on in Marblehead about a year ago. So the artist was doing whatever they're doing, and I happened to use my phone and Polycam to walk around this little house that was built in the 1700s and scan this. And the reason why I wanted to do this is to experiment, but also see what I can do in 5 minutes. And you can see it's not really good, it's not really bad, but at least I'm able to use this. So for example, I could use this in the future to talk with architecture or interior designers, or maybe in the context of filmmaking, talk with my team like, hey, I like this shot over here. You know, I want to do something like this or whatever like that. But going back to the things that I'm trying to do is I want to recreate memories of like my childhood and my family home and those kinds of things. And maybe using realistic versions of myself and my family, I can kind of recreate those memories. Obviously, you know, this is something that I'm doing more because of my interest in my own family, but I can see like these technologies in the future, workflow could maybe be beneficial for everyone else. And that's what I'm trying to do with this, is to figure out a workflow that anyone can kind of do this themselves, or maybe, since you guys are at business school, I can capitalize on this. I can, you know, use this as part of my, you know, LLC, right? And market this as an alternative to a documentary. I've done plenty of documentaries, you know, older people, whatever, but, you know, I can kind of offer something like this to create immersive VR documentaries where if they're sitting down talking, you know, the person that's wearing it can walk around. Or maybe I want to do a reenactment or something, right? Like you guys are familiar with how they do reenactments for some documentaries. They'll say in the bottom, like, this is a reenactment. Maybe I want to do something like that. But this is all part of me trying to reinvent myself and be competitive and leveraging some of these new tools and learning about them. Because there's really no one else doing this as far as I know, or there's no businesses that are providing these services just yet. So this is me. Here are some other scans here. This is actually my childhood kitchen. And this is a 3D scan. You can see my dog, my dog up there. But you know, these kinds of tools is really exciting for me because I can really kind of archive you know, my childhood home and recreate things so that people can also experience that as well. But I guess that's really about it about some of the cool like immersive XR things that I'm doing. I'm working on creating spatial video as well, which is basically 3D video. So with the Apple Vision Pro, they just generated some content for that. And there's not a lot of production companies doing that right now. So I'm working on developing a workflow utilizing existing technologies and cameras that's available to the consumer to create that for the Apple Vision Pro, for the Meta Quest 3, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Yes.
How has generative AI impacted either filmmaking or the stuff you're doing with virtual production?
Yeah, it's a great question. So generative AI in the filmmaking community is a no-no, and there's been strikes about it. I don't know if you guys were familiar, about a year ago, there was a huge strike in Hollywood with like writers and actors and everything, and that's because Hollywood's talking about using AI. But the good thing about AI is that we can talk about it. If people don't talk about it, we can't create, regulations, right? We can't create policies, we can't create workflows, we can't create contracts that protects artists from AI or et cetera, right? So AI is great in the sense that if you're just starting out and you wanted to create something from scratch that is not infringing on someone's creative works, you can do that, right? Like if you wanted to create like a clay model of a dog using AI, or maybe it's like for prototyping. That's how I see AI. If you're talking about generative AI, is a way to either expedite my own work, like maybe I want to remove a background and put like a waterfall instead of being in a classroom, for example, or creating something from scratch that I don't know if it's infringing on other people's works, but you know, it's a tool. It's a tool in itself. Yeah. Yes.
Have you ever seen the movie Ready Player One?
What's that?
The movie Ready Player One?
Yeah, Ready Player One.
Do you think at the rate that VR and AI is evolving, do you think that movie is very possible to exist in our lifetimes?
It's a great question because it's kind of already happening. So the creators of Ready Player One actually teamed up with another company to bring that to life, really. And as you can see with Meta's headsets, we're kind of almost there. In the next 2 years, they're going to release a new headset. It's going to be the Quest 4, but they're also going to be trying to recreate, or they're going to create an augmented reality headset in the form of glasses. They already have the Ray-Bans, which is kind of okay. They talked about their Orion AR headset, but the future is that AR is basically going to be like what we're going to see. So Ready Player One, yes, it can happen. There is some, I know of some people in Europe, they're using these biometric devices to basically control your game character using your mind. So how many of you guys are into anime at all? Okay, Sword Art Online? Yeah, with the nerve gear. So if you guys don't know, in that anime, they have these technologies where they wear these headsets that basically transport all your senses into these virtual, you know, MMORPGs, basically. So you can feel, you can, you know, move around, you can do all that stuff with just the power of your mind. And that's kind of happening already, but we're almost there. So to answer your question, yes. Are you familiar with those haptic suits where you can, yes, so those exist. So if you were to take all these technologies and put them together, yes, you could have Ready Player One. It's just a matter of experimenting and just kind of developing those technologies. But the great thing is that other companies are doing it for you. So like me, I'm taking all these things and trying to make something with it. Yeah. Does that kind of answer your question? Yeah, are you looking forward to that? Yeah? Yeah, exactly, right? So we'll see like what the future of that will be like in terms of socializing, communicating, and that kind of thing. Yeah. All right. What do you think, Mark?
Take your QR code, the QR code.
Okay, let's do that.
So please scan the QR code that we put up and fill out the form that goes with it, so that we know that you're here. And let's give Jonny big pictures and the actual ones.